Hi, everybody. I am Kevin Iole from Yahoo Sports. Welcome back. And my guest today is a guy that, if you don't know him in the United States right now, at the end of March, you definitely will know him. I think arguably the best promoter in the world right now, certainly the best promoter in the UK, Mr. Eddie Hearn. How are you, Eddie?
Well, that was a great introduction because everyone always refers to me as the greatest promoter. I get all excited and they go, in the UK. I'm like, come on, we've got to branch out. I like use the word arguably though, not to upset my competition. So thank you for that.
We,
And
we,
we're on our way. We just finished the press conference. We're on our way to JFK to fly back to London for the Hay Bellew press conference tomorrow. So
You know what?
had a
You know
great.
I'm connected when I can get guys on their way to the airport and I can pull these guys in to do interviews with.
This was the best time. This was the best time to get me.
Absolutely. Well, I don't want to waste the time I have with you because there's so much to talk about. And I just want to run through some of the fighters that you promote because people in the U.S. who may not know, they know Daniel Jacobs. He is going to be fighting on April 28th on HBO. His second fight under Matchroom Boxing, Maciej Suleshi. Is that how you pronounce his last name? The
If
undefeated
you're
Polish
posting,
fight.
yeah, Maciej Sulecki, 26-0. Ranked number 1 with the WBC at light middleweight, up at middleweight, ranked 4 with the WBO. Probably the big win of his career was the knockout victory over Hugo Centeno Jr., who's fighting Charlo for the WBC interim title. So it's a good, solid test. I think it's a tough point for the middleweight division right now. I think you have 4 elite fighters, the standout fighters of the division in Golovkin, Canelo, Jacobs, and Saunders. And we want to get
Charlo, too.
everyone.
Charlo deserves to be in there.
I think when you ask where is his standout victory, I don't think he really has a standout victory. Although I do rate him as an excellent fighter.
Right.
But I think the 4 stars of the division right now are those guys, and we really want to get them fighting each other. So and outside of those guys, you got guys like Luis Arias, who Danny fought last time, a world-class fighter, but not an elite fighter.
Right.
And I think with Sulecki, you have another world-class fighter who we're going to find out if he is elite. Because if he's not elite, he can't beat Daniel Jacobs or he can't compete with him in the right way. So, I think it's a good, solid fight. I think there'll be a lot of Polish. One thing I love about the show on April 28th is we've got like 8 different nationalities fighting on the card, and I think Brooklyn is vibrant with those little pockets, those little communities.
The different neighborhoods.
Like Polish guys, they all come out for Sulecki and Spilka and Konaki and those kind of guys. We've got a really very good Uzbekistan fighter on there, Shohan Ergashev, who's 11-0, just boxed on Showbox recently. A big knockout. Katie Taylor, of course, the fighting pride of Ireland. She's going to be in a unification fight. And, France with the Halpus and Argentina with Bustos. So it's good. And I think, what we're planning for this time really is a big fight card from top to bottom. I know everybody talks about the live broadcast, but there's more to it than just a live broadcast. We need to create the vibrancy in the arena and give fight fans who are buying a ticket value, as well as the people who are watching at home.
Well, I think that, Eddie, your challenge is very big in the U.S. I know in the UK and then a lot of Europe, boxing is huge. And I think it's huge in most of the world other than in the U.S. And in the U.S., it's kind of a niche sport. When you have a Floyd Mayweather, you have a Manny Pacquiao, you have a great heavyweight, people take notice. But on the day-to-day in boxing, they don't do that. Did you get a sense of that last time you were here when you promoted Jacobs in November? Did you get a sense of how difficult the market would be to crack?
Yeah, we learned a lot. And I'm so glad that we did it in Long Island because it was
Nobody out
really,
there.
No, it was a real tough, we had like 6,500, which I was really pleased about. But we learned so much and we weren't even really in a fight community. At the Barclays, we really are, it's vibrant right now. It's probably a little saturated, in terms of not just the Barclays, but boxing in New York. And, we learn so much. And that's why I'm talking about pockets of communities and fighters. Like when we was at Long Island, I noticed that people like Ergashev were on the card. He had like 300 travel down from Brooklyn. They all have their Uzbekistan. That's, for me, that's passion. That's atmosphere. That's what we need to create. because there seems to be people who are turning up in the arena, and maybe this is a comp ticket problem. You know, you do have a comp culture here,
Yeah, you should.
where, yeah, which like as the events reach the last few days, the venues and sometimes the promoters, you know, we did some comps in Long Island. We'll let some tickets go, and those people don't really know what they're there for. Do you know what I mean? And
I
they're the
just
kind
got
of people.
something for free, so let me show up and take advantage.
Exactly. Or who's fighting? I don't know. I'm just here. You know, they're the kind of people that you don't really want at the shows, because you want the people that are passionate to be there. You know, the guys who are rooting for their guys at the event, and that's how you create passion and atmosphere in the arena. Is by creating stars that you do feel passionately towards, you do feel emotional about, and that's what we've got in the UK. You know, every fighter that is a televised fighter has their own following, and they're there, they're on their seats, they're shouting, they're screaming for their guy. And I think that's something that you're missing over here. And, you know, I look at someone like Daniel Jacobs, and I think that, like, the whole of the Brooklyn community, Brownsville, Brooklyn, they should be out in force to support Danny Jacobs.
So let me play the devil's advocate. I've done millions of stories on Daniel Jacobs. He is a wonderful guy and a terrific boxer. But I was going to do an interview with Daniel Jacobs today. No go. He didn't show. 4.5 hours didn't show after the press conference. He is known for that. Doesn't show up at appearances. Doesn't do interviews. So how do you turn him when you want to get him out there to the public, because he's such a great kid? You want the public to know not only is this guy a great fighter, he overcame cancer. He's an amazing human being. He's doing a lot of work for kids, fighting childhood obesity, fighting childhood cancer. And yet, then you can't get him in the media to take 20 minutes to do an interview. It's got to be tough to promote a guy like that, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, to be fair, he did do 4 hours of media today, so he probably didn't want to get on the FaceTime with you, you know. but like, you know, I understand what you're saying, and you know, I think that the story's kind of been told with Daniel Jacobs, and like we tried to tell that story last time. There's always going to be people that don't know the story, but today I kind of flipped it and said, you know, yeah, he's the miracle man. Yes, he did overcome cancer. Yes, he is a great ambassador of sport, but also he's a damn good middleweight, and he's one of the best middleweights in the world. I'm going under a tunnel now. I might lose you. If I do, I'll call you straight back. But so, you know, but that's how I think we need to sell Daniel Jacobs. And I want to see the bad side of Daniel Jacobs. I want to see the Brownsville kid come out.
Right. That's
You know, not this
the
nice
guy
guy.
that fought Peter Quillen. That's the guy you want to be fighting.
Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable. I remember watching that on TV thinking, where's this guy come from? You know, and that's the kind of performance. You know, I kind of put it on Peter Nelson today and said, listen, we signed with HBO to fight Canelo Golovkin. Make it happen after this fight. And he said, quite rightly, you know, you got to make people call for that fight. And you do that by putting in great performances. The performance against Arias, partly because of Arias and partly because I think Danny was trying too hard, was not good enough. You know, it didn't make the people say, put him in with Canelo Golovkin now. Everyone knows Daniel Jacobs is a world-class middleweight. I want him to put a performance in against Selecki where at the end of the night, we're screaming and shouting in the ring, right, saying, next week, Canelo and Golovkin are fighting, and we demand the win.
And you're going to be there ringside.